Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need. What you need. We're broken, it's tragic. We're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic. Believe you could have it. And I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness of all that is blackness.
How you going? Oh, how's everyone going? It's been a huge week. Hey, I am Kai. Hey, Alex, how you going? You didn't get much sleep last night, so you'll be watching, listening tonight. I already know it's going to be an awesome one. Oh, God love you. Just lay back and listen to my voice and I'll put you to sleep. Oh dear. Hey Simone, how you going? Hello Heaven, all same as you Alex, head and pillow listening. Much love to all. Where are we? Simone, how you going? Nicey, how you going? Good evening everyone, or morning. So good to be with you all. You too guys. Carl said, well, it's 9:20 on a Thursday, time for Hev. Sherry, how you going? Faith, how you going? Finally made it. Hello. Carl, how you going? Amy, how you going? Sherry, Faith, Amy. Okay, we've got everyone. Fred, how you going? George, how you going? Okay, it's been a huge week. We have so much going on. Cocaine's been found in the White House. Hunter was caught doing 170 miles per hour in a city, in a major city, I think, with and smoking crack. Great. Anyway, we'll go through these and we'll talk about a few things. Brad Jammins said Australia is effectively shutting down. Councils are no longer cleaning graffiti. They no longer clean the weeds. The shops are shutting everywhere. Body corporates are charging through the roof. Construction companies are collapsing. The hospital system is broken and power bills are skyrocketing, among other things. Everything is going up. The roads are shocking too. Yep. Everything's going up. Oh, hang on. Okay, here we go. Sorry, it just updated itself. I did add some more bookmarks before I jumped on, so... DC Drono said, this is a man on heavy drugs in front of children at the White House. Our country has become a sick joke. Okay, I'm going to make this bigger. Hang on. Oh, dear God. Paul Joseph Watson. Oh, this made me ill. Okay, it's a baby in a bag, right? Dr. Anastasia Maria Lupus said evil. This is not right. This is not right. That's, no. Definitely not. And she's playing with it like it's, I don't know, like it's a toy. It's disturbing. Seriously. Oh, I wouldn't trust anyone with my baby outside of my body. You know what I mean? I don't know. Well, what is wrong with everyone? Jim Ferguson said the online chatter suggests a dirty bomb attack will occur, an FF, you know. One of those false, you know, these things. Okay. Well, the online chatter suggests maybe a dirty bomb attack will occur tonight, 5th of July, on a nuclear plant in Ukraine as part of... okay. If this happens, the world will undoubtedly be plunged into WW3, and the use of nuclear will most likely be used. We saw the devastation caused by Chernobyl, pictured left, but this will be deliberate and result full-scale war. Humanity stands on the brink of disaster as madmen lead us to war. Be wary though. I think a lot of things we're seeing are actually fake. Oh, Soldier said Bernie fronted the National Press Club to reset the voice debate. Linda Burney, one of our politicians. It completely failed, no detail, accusing others of lying, and even invented a Trump conspiracy. Train wreck. Hank said breaking, the plot thickens on the coke found at the White House. In a startling development, new information has emerged regarding it found at the White House. The bag was reportedly discovered in the library, a room where Hunter Biden is known to have used his laptop. The Secret Service allegedly assumed the coke belonged to Hunter, but no fingerprints were collected from the bag. The White House Library is under 24/7 video surveillance, suggesting that the Secret Service likely knows who left it in the room. Is this a case of a forgotten stash, or is there more clandestine narrative unfolding behind the scenes? Like, I can imagine this guy, Hunter, holding the White House, like going nuts one day and just like waving something around the White House. You know what I mean? I can imagine on drugs just going off. It makes you wonder. Is that part of the movie? He's going to hold all them? I don't know. It's just looking very weird. Brad Jammon said Australia's... Oh, that's the one I read. There you go. Malcolm Roberts said, did you know that the current Minister for Home Affairs, Claire O'Neill, is a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader? Of course, of course. She has the power to decide who is and isn't allowed to come to Australia. Oh dear God, help us. Look at her face. Remember this lady. Simon Atiba said, since we have Secret Service sources, oh, that's a bit of a tongue twister, stating that the coke discovered in the White House was in a work area within the West Wing, and the dispatch recording indicating it was in the library, here are some clarifications. The White House West Wing refers to one of the two main wings of the White House, the official residence and the workplace of the President of the United States. The West Wing houses the offices and working spaces of the President's staff, including the Oval Office, where the President typically conducts official duties and meetings. It is the primary location for the President's executive office, housing key departments such as the Office of the Chiefs of Staff, the National Security Council, the Press Secretary's Office, and other administrative offices. The West Wing is often associated with the day-to-day operations and decision-making process of the President and their immediate staff. Are they all on drugs? It wouldn't surprise me. 2. The White House Library primarily grants access to White House staff, including the President and their immediate staff, and members of the Executive Office of the President. It serves as a working library that provides resources for research and information related to the President's duties and responsibilities. Additionally, authorised researchers, scholars and historians may be granted access to the White House Library on a case-to-case basis, typically through arrangements made with the White House Historical Association or the National Archives and Records Administration. Wow. You know, it happened in the UK a few years ago that all over 10 Dowling Street there was cocaine found everywhere, on everything, nearly every surface. So there you go. It's all coming around. The Spectator Australia said you'll be tracked in your suburb and be happy about it. The dystopian future of 15-minute cities. Read on. Then try a month free. Oh, I thought she was going to say of a 15-minute city. Try a month free of your 15-minute city. Wouldn't that be something? Show people. Okay, it's not clicking. There we go. Something wrong with my mouse? There isn't. Oh, okay, hang on. There is nothing smart about surveillance cities. On December the 3rd, Joe Nova penned an article, Climate Lockdowns Coming, You'll Be Tracked in Your Suburb, and happy about it, which caused an outburst of alarm. Well, look, I don't think this is even winning anymore. This is actually losing. I'm sure most people are going to turn around and say no now. I mean, I don't even listen to what they do tell us. If they banned wood fires, I wouldn't know. Because I don't listen to the TV and I don't listen to most of the politicians. Okay, casually dubbed climate lockdowns, it involves bizarre traffic experiment in Oxfordshire, described as an anti-frequent flyer program where the local council intends to create a transport social credit scheme that punishes users for taking their cars outside 6 designated zones. These are policed by cameras and gates, leaving residents effectively locked down to save the climate. Gates? Can't you just like... you know? And I'm hearing a lot of those cameras are being knocked down or taken down. I don't know. The deeper you read into the proposal, the clearer it becomes that councillors were tired of trying to convince people to use public transport in line with self-inflicted green goals, instead of realising that bikes and buses aren't for everyone. These miniature dictators have chosen to force the issue with surveillance and fines, attempting to validate their decision in the eyes of an angry public, many of whom thought the proposal was some kind of joke. It has been more difficult. Feedback to the proposal includes some comments such as, "This scheme will cause outright chaos. You are destroying communities and businesses in the heart of Oxford. Everyone will be disadvantaged regardless of race, religion or sexual orientation. Well done, you've ruined Oxford for everyone." The council have laid out who they believe should get permits and have just gone by what is correct in the days of woke. That is why a hard-working person who needs to drive to work maybe miles away can only do so 100 days a year and cannot use their cars at weekends. What? Look, I'd probably risk myself by driving through the gate. Even the woke are unhappy with one person comment. Look, they need to do all this in the inner city suburbs where all the rich people are voting for all this. Okay, that's what they need to do. Okay, woke are unhappy with one person commenting. People need to have the opinion to drive places if they are minorities in sex, gender. Oh, minorities in sex. Okay, I didn't read that right. In gender, race, religion, etc., because public transport and cycling, walking leaves people massively open to discrimination, harassment and even assault. Very few are buying the COVID made us do it approach as listed in the surprising stickiness of the 15-minute city, which is the World Economic Forum's love letter about why the world should embrace the safety of a cell-like city. It's prison cities. With COVID and its variants keeping everyone home or closer to home than usual, the 15-minute city went from nice to have to a rallying cry. Strange, I don't remember anyone desperate to retain the 5-kilometre COVID lockdown zones, and yet that is the argument presented without contest in dozens of urbanisation papers put forward by the United Nations. In an interesting twist, 15-minute cities have painted themselves as the opposite of the more familiar smart cities, accusing the smart city utopia of being a soulless failure. They both are, even though both projects have the same World Economic Forum parent. That's controlled opposition if I've ever seen it. And many cities like Melbourne and London appear on both the 15 and smart city list. In truth, these two city structures are manifestations of the same idea: excessive government overreach, where one model controls movement and the other stalks its citizens digitally. There are symbiotic projects, net zero parasites latching onto our metropolises until they die. At no point have our political leaders been stopped by the media and asked why they are inviting unelected international organisations to plan our cities. This nightmare idea, although attributed to the World Economic Forum, is not their original. To stop this toxic global urban planning machine, we have to find the roots and sever them. When the United Nations floated its sustainability goals in 2015, no one paid much attention to number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Why would they? I did. The 17 sustainability goals replaced the defunct 8 millennial goals, whose only purpose was to be used as conversation fodder at endless international talk fests, where world leaders nodded along to noble promises about eradicating extreme poverty, while putting us all in extreme poverty, while peddling arms deals under the table. Instead of this new batch of sustainability goals ending up in the waste bin of bureaucracy where they belong, an empowered United Nations, backed by socialist nations with questionable geopolitical motives, has finally damaged the Western economic model. For example, in order to pursue the all-powerful Goal 13, climate action, governments have introduced net zero policies on the advice of the UN that have rendered Goal 1, no poverty, Goal 2, zero hunger, Goal 7, affordable and clean energy, Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, Goal 10, reduced inequalities, and Goal 16, peace, justice and strong institutions, completely unworkable, which is what they've done. Forcing signatories of the sustainability goals to pursue renewable energy has led to widespread energy poverty and needlessly exacerbated the inflation crisis. It has also made plenty of corporations involved in the UN a tidy fortune, and there is no reason to assume ideas like the 15-minute city won't have a similar crowd of beneficiaries waiting to cash in on citizen misery. Sounds like The Voice. Sustainable cities, the larger movement that spawned 15-minute cities, is a solution to a problem that only exists because of the UN's process of encouraging political leaders to make private agricultural economic non-viable for families. This has resulted in a mass exodus towards cities, and it is about to happen again, with thousands of Dutch farmers forced from their land to meet the net zero targets. With the population increasingly condensing into cities crushed by unsustainable and unregulated migration from the Third World, drawn to the West's welfare system, the United Nations has suddenly decided that urbanisation is a problem that has to be solved by 2030 because cities are responsible for 70% of global carbon emissions and 60% of those resources use. Obviously, an empty paddock uses less resources than a skyscraper. One sec, guys. The UN's main concern is that hunger and fatalities could rise significantly in urban areas. A reasonable government could fix this by tearing up net zero regulations and allowing farmers back onto the land to grow food. But inner city bureaucracy is allergic to reason and married to the idea that farmers are killing the climate. Enter last week's hysteria, where the world at large were made aware of Oxfordshire County Council, which has volunteered itself as a guinea pig for the climate agenda. The detail of locking a city down isn't as difficult as you'd imagine. London's congestion taxes are no different to Oxford's proposed traffic filters. Replicating in an Australian city may be as simple as expanding our tollways by adding environment charges or sending fines to anyone who travels to the CBD too many times. I travel there never. Is it really that hard to imagine Sydney's Clover Moore, one of the mayors or whatever they are, of Sydney, salivating over a climate change revenue-raising tax that frees up more bike lanes? She's known for being woke. And she's in a very rich area as well. The BBC praises the imposition on Oxford by saying it would cut unnecessary journeys and make walking, cycling and public and shared transport the natural first choice. Telling residents where they can drive in their own town using the experimental traffic regulation order sounds like something lifted from the height of communist rule in Europe, but the proposal was approved on November the 29th by the Council's Cabinet. Of course, the skeleton of the Council's favourite identity groups were being granted exemptions, while ordinary hard-working individuals who run businesses are expected to cop all the restrictions and pay the bulk of the fines. No doubt because they're seen as the city's evil capitalists, even though they don't say that last part out loud. If you're clinging onto the ideology that this measure isn't about control, it's about saving the planet, Oxford Council admits the system will probably have the opposite effect. Everywhere in the city can still be reached by car, although car drivers without a permit will need to use a different route during the hours of operation of the traffic filters. Yeah. They're telling you how to do it, okay? Angry Oxford residents pointed out the ring road would end up a nightmare, with smaller roads becoming heavily congested as vehicles try to pick their way around ridiculous traffic filters, incurring longer journeys and using more fuel. Thus adding to the total emissions rather than reducing them. So why is it even happening? The council appears to view cars negatively, employing language such as essential car journeys and wanting individual car journeys to take a back seat, which I'm sure I've seen somewhere before. The cult of university bike riders and small veneer of individuals whose lifestyle allows them to wander between casual work and the local cafe exist detached from the reality of wider society that allows their comfortable niche to exist. Placing restrictions on the business end and workforce that creates these idyllic lifestyles will not result in safe, clean cities. It'll create expensive, slow, unworkable nightmares which people will quickly abandon. That's why I tell people, leave the city. But this hasn't stopped the UN from convincing politicians that this wonderful globalised world, people should be forced to live inside 15 or 20-minute bubbles and encouraged not to venture out because doing so could endanger the planet. Watch me go. Anyone want to build me like a tank? Embracing accessible neighbourhoods is really a way of concealing via pleasant language the government's intention to trap people inside microcosms, locking us in very real cells and punishing us financially if we choose to wander beyond the city walls. The climate crisis and COVID pandemic were jointly credited for the accelerated need to implement the 15-minute city. In July of 2020, C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group officially published their intention to sign on to the project as part of the World Economic Forum's notorious Build Back Better mantra. How's that working for them? The focus of C40 Cities is not the comfort and liberty of the citizens, but climate change, and it's chaired by London Mayor Sadiq Khan. Its president is Michael Bloomberg, former US President Bill Clinton is a founding partner, and Mark Watts is the executive director. Far from building back better, Sadiq Khan's London is gaining a reputation as stabby central, where citizen crime has resulted in a mass exodus of native Londoners who want nothing to do with his dangerous, dysfunctional, overcrowded modern city because of net zero policies. London will be shivering through a winter plagued with blackouts and energy prices ordinary people simply can't afford. Welcome to the future. Melbourne and Sydney are both on the list of C40 cities. And where I am is part of Sydney City. Now, it's part of the city. It's part of Sydney. What we are watching develop is modern feudalism, a network of tiny cities ruled over by an all-powerful councils that act as manor lords, telling the peasants where they can go. Far from revolutionising the way we think about urban homes, it's fueled a deep regression back to the medieval period. We're even being forced to walk between towns and carry our goods by hand. Whew. Forbes credits French-Colombian urbanist Carlos Moreno with the project. Moreno is famous for wanting to disrupt the natural car-focused approach to cities, as was awarded the UN Habitat Scroll of Honour for his nonsense. He in turn credits American-Canadian journalist Jane Jacobs as a chief influence. Jacobs was a recipient of a Rockefeller Foundation Award to produce a critical study of city planning in America and author of the often criticised The Death and Life of Great American Cities. This is a long read. I'm sure I'm near the end. However, their romantic view of how cities work ignores how they actually operate. Oxford has made a similar mistake in trying to reforge the memory of a carless pedestrian city. They've forgotten a modern city cannot function without the trappings of efficient private transport. What of the elderly who cannot mount a bike? The mothers trying to herd their children around with a week's worth of shopping? Women coming home late worried for their safety, or anyone really in the rain or snow. Idealism is not reality, and civilization must function in the world as it is, not what academia prefers it to be. Adopting a 15-minute city strategy means striving for an urban model that allows everyone in every neighbourhood to meet most of their daily needs within a short walk or bike ride of their home. It creates a human-scale city composed of vibrant, people-friendly, complete neighbourhoods, wrote someone who's never had to work a day in their lives or traipse to the shops in the Australian heat. The privilege of those behind these initiatives reveal how little real-world experience they have. Cities are always aiming towards efficiency. Real town planners sought to move traffic and people through while maximising services. They certainly didn't sit around plotting ways to deliberately congest areas or trap citizens inside bubbles. It's complete madness, anti-human and woefully impractical. There's nothing smart or convenient about 15-minute cities, even though that's what their name is meant to imply. These days, you're dumb if you don't want the government to watch you, foolish if you enjoy privacy, greedy if you partake in capitalism, and backward if you don't want the UN throwing a few cockroaches onto your Christmas barbecue. Green bureaucracy is getting very good at phrasing irrational demands as social requirements, to such a point where the peasants are proclaimed climate criminals if they want to own a personal car, while the elite political class hop around the world in private jets, giving themselves awards for saving the planet. At what point do Australians stand up and say, actually, no thanks, mate, to inner city councillors indulging in their Big Brother fantasies? When is enough actually enough? Are we going to stop at 15-minute cities, or will we go all the way to climate lockdowns? Malcolm Roberts is a One Nation Senator for Queensland. I like Malcolm Roberts. He's good. Okay. DC Drano said, message from a follower about the smoke poisoning millions of Americans. We're from Nashville, Tennessee, and we've been in PA visiting family. Let me tell you, it's awful. I have yet to see the blue sky since arriving, and the thick air smells like chemicals, not smoke. My eyes burn. I've had a chronic headache. My 8-year-old daughter has had a chronic nosebleed since spending a week outside at camp. Has never had one before in her life. My husband's and son's asthma is off the charts. Where are all the pictures of these forest fires? I'm calling BS. This is intentional. I don't know what, I can't smell the air over there, so you guys could probably let me know. Does it smell weird? Alex James said, France riots at the end of the week. Look, these have been going all week, right? Getting really, really intense. But then I've got another lady who's saying she knows 2 people in France and it's not what we're being shown. Okay. This is a pretty big thread. I keep putting all these threads in the bookmarks and never reading them again. Should I just read it? France riot, the end of the West, a thread. By now you would have figured out what is happening in France will also happen here. This is unavoidable, as the underlying causes of their problems are also present here as well. An unwarranted fanaticism for multiculturalism and tolerance has led to a assimilation rate of migrants becoming basically zero, meaning there is no loyalty from the migrants to their new country. This lack of loyalty means that the relationship between the host nation and migrants can only go downhill. What seemingly set off the race riots has now spiralled into a civil war between the unassimilated migrants who don't see themselves as French and the French people. This comes as no surprise to myself and others like-minded, as we all saw through the thin veil of multiculturalism, clearly seeing it as synonymous with multinationalism. And an autonomous nation with widespread ethnic and religious multinationalism will not last long before it falls into civil war and balkanization, which leads us to now. France has a population of 68 million, roughly 3 times the population of Australia, yet their population of immigrants is around 9.5 million, or 14% of the population. Comparatively, in Australia, our immigrant population is rising drastically, with it being estimated that over 300,000 immigrants and refugees are to be brought to Australia this year alone. Forget the last few years. This, coupled with a policy of multiculturalism and diversity, means that soon there'll be millions upon millions of foreigners in Australia who identify as being of their previous culture and previous religion. This is the problem that France is facing, but they're further down the path of chaos than we are. We are currently watching a car crash in slow motion. The Voice is the perfect example of this brain-dead ideology of multiculturalism turning into blatant multinationalism. It is exactly what Yuri Bezmenov warned the West about when he explained in his 1985 interview how demoralization and the destruction of otherwise healthy and powerful nations will play out. The Voice is the first obvious step into this chaos, as the so-called indigenous population will begin seeing themselves as a separate nation, to which its enemy is the colonial white Australia, a derogatory, racist and fabricated view of our current unified, rich and powerful federation, which we are all equal citizens of. We've been unified for over 100 years, yet now that unity is being torn apart by vested interests. The US, Britain, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, New Zealand and Canada will also be subject to the same fate as France. And although my reader base is largely Australian, I realise that many of you are from those great nations with rich and proud histories which should be preserved and to which these nations should endure for centuries upon centuries longer, as their people are owed. But we are all watching our own car crash in slow motion. To further suck up to these brain-dead notions of multiculturalism, which all of our peoples have fallen prey to, is to commit yourselves to the grave. Even finding middle ground on the matter shows you are no longer made of the stuff your ancestors were made of. It is now either commit to your nation or commit to a nation divide. It's now commit to your people or commit to the invaders. Time to pick a side is now. I don't know, is this dividing or is this helping? I don't think I'm going to read this thread, guys. I don't want to divide any more than already is, but I understand what they're saying. Mr. Bob Dobalina. I remember that song. Who bashed Dan Andrews at Sorrento? I believe that was Lindsay Fox, the owner of a big trucking company here in Australia. I don't know, I heard he was a bikie maybe. Mr. Bob Dobalina. Oh, Lindsay Fox's union blokes threw him off the stairs, maybe. I don't know, I thought it was Lindsay Fox punching him in the face. Was his missus? Okay. Okay, but it was Lindsay Fox or one of his people, because he hit on Lindsay Fox's granddaughter, 14-year-old, 16-year-old. Not 100% sure what the age was, but bad enough. Rise Melbourne says WEF, take a listen to this. The arrogance is astounding. In order to achieve net zero, we'll have to use a mixture of carrots and sticks, but we're likely to see more stick-like behaviours. If things don't improve drastically, they're openly threatening us now. Listen to this. Oh, hang on. What's going on here? Stay there. Oh my Godfather.
Will not be easy.
Hang on.
We are, broadly speaking, agreed that we need to get on track towards a net zero, climate safe and nature positive future, but we know this will not be easy. And we're going to need to change behaviours of both individuals, but also the way that our industries and corporations and also our governments work and practice. We're going to need to do this through a mixture of carrots and hopefully perhaps not so many sticks, and some kind of mix. And there's a very active and live debate as to how we go about this. But we're likely to see an increasing move towards a more stick-like interventions into the future as things worsen if we're not able to act. We are, broadly speaking, agreed that we need to get on track towards a net zero, climate safe and nature positive future, but we know this will not be easy. And we're going to need to change behaviours of both individuals, but also the way that our industries and corporations and also our governments work and practice. We're going to need to do this through a mixture of carrots and hopefully perhaps not so many sticks.
You hear that twice? I think I played it twice, didn't I? Okay. Sorry guys, it's so cold here, my nose is running. Happens all the time. Benny Johnson said Hunter Biden's lawyers lash out, threaten whistleblowers as Congress calls witnesses to testify. That could lead to impeachment of Merrick Garland and expose him for perjury. Interesting. Nine Guy Warren Mundine said 100% you're right, your property isn't safe under the ACT government. Lyle Shelton said the forced removal of the cross of Christ from a Christian-owned hospital compulsorily acquired by a hostile secularist government, Dan Andrews' government. These are the actions of a totalitarian regime, the likes of which exist in Beijing, not normally associated with Canberra. Time to wake up. They took over. They forcefully took over that hospital that I was telling you about in the last few lives. The government was trying to take over the hospital. They have. They're removing the cross. ALX said flashback. Never forget that Joe Biden was caught stealing lines from RFK speeches. Ready? Not again.
It's the only time I didn't. Paraphrase Neil Kinnock. It's the only time I didn't. In all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children,
the health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden gave Kennedy no credit. He has also quoted or paraphrased John Kennedy, Hubert Humphrey, and British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock, all without credit.
Paraphrase Neil Kinnock.
So there you go. He's a plagiariser. Is that a word? Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene said Derek Hines formerly worked for Hunter Biden's business partner and is now the Deputy Assistant United States Attorney to David Weiss and helped negotiate Hunter's no-deal jail time. When DOJ prosecutors are ex-business partners with Hunter Biden, this entire plea should be thrown out. The DOJ is criminally complicit at this point. Hunter Biden prosecutor previously worked alongside the first son's business partner. Well, what do you know? Interesting, isn't it? Tangled webs they weave. Okay. Don Lecrae said all of these three women were created with AI. That's not real women. Most real women are not perfect. Okay, we all have some, faults. Herd Immunity News said news. Over the weekend, we've sadly received more reports that numerous ULEZ cameras have been retired. The group calling themselves the ULEZ Blade Runners have been taking cameras out of action in Bromley, Catford, Greenwich, Croydon, Canning Town, and Bethnal Green. Hang on, where am I up to? These terrible crimes have not ceased despite the upset caused to WEF Sadiq Khan. If you see a Blade Runner in the street retiring a ULEZ camera, please take the necessary steps. Yay! Go, mate. Go, mate. Go, mate. Go! I would be. Hank said breaking. Yep, okay, we know that. Coke found at the White House after Hunter Biden's visit. In a startling turn of events, the White House was evacuated after the discovery of an unknown item that later tested positive as being Coke. Hydrochloride. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know. Anyway, this incident occurred in the wake of Hunter Biden's recent visits to the White House and Camp David. You know why I don't know the difference? Because I don't like cocaine. This incident occurred in the wake of Hunter Biden's recent visit to the White House and Camp David. This is an unfortunate coincidence, or is there a deeper, more troubling narrative at play here? Did I read that already? I feel like I read that already. Jim Ferguson said as Dutch farmers prepare to defend their farms, homes and livelihoods from WEF chairman and self-appointed leader of the New World Order, Klaus Schwab, he has issued instructions to Biden to prepare to seize American farms, ranchers and food producers. John Kerry, Special President Envoy for Climate Scam, has readily agreed to implement his net zero as hard-pressed Americans learn about the 3,000 farms being expropriated in Holland. They need to prepare as this is now heading for the US. Oh, I can hear my wheel moving. The oracle said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but the secretions a male produces from his breast due to excessive amounts of prolactin caused by the off-label use of anti-nausea medication is not effing lactation. And the people promoting these degenerate males really do need to check themselves before they wreck what little support their whack-ass community of perverts and fetishists still enjoy. Because I'm going to show you something in a minute. I think it's the same as normal women's milk. Lisa Keeble said, I know 3 people who are currently in Paris, 2 live there and 1 is there on holiday. 3 people, sorry. I've checked in with all 3 and they've all said the same thing. They haven't seen anywhere near the levels of violence and disturbance that are being reported. So what's really going on? Is anyone in Paris or France? Anywhere? Can you tell me what's going on? No, they had their internet cut off. Aha, another thing. France have also had their internet cut off, or it's been threatened that they're going to shut the internet down in France. So there's that. No one can tell anyone unless you know someone there and you can ring them up. And I don't even know would that work? Donald Trump Jr. said Hunter Biden films himself going 172 miles per hour in a car while smoking crack. And for some reason I'm the one that's trending on Twitter, says Donald Trump Jr. Only in America. Unbelievable. There you go. Amuse said WF censorship. Don Vito said French President Macron has announced a total censorship and ban on all social media platforms in France, preventing the French people from seeing and hearing outside the country. France burning, France has fallen. So what are we to make of all this? Maybe are they cleaning up? I don't know. Amy Mack said Londonistan, where Muslims demand that their rights be honoured, especially their Prophet Muhammad, or else jihad. Let's see. Oh, yep, I get it. Let's see what happens if an Englishman goes to an Islamic country and shouts through a megaphone demanding the native population honour their religious rights, houses them, clothes them, educates them, allows them to build mega church in the heart of the capital. Go ahead, Liberals, take the challenge and try. Let me know how that works out for you. Well, our governments are importing the worst of the worst.
So, shall we take a look at the beautiful, multicultural, thriving city of London?
We are expressing our concern. You, as a mother parliament, should listen to the peace-loving people of Britain, British citizen. We are proud to be British citizen. We need our rights. We need our rights. And the most important rights for people living in Britain is the honor and respect of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is the honor and respect of Muhammad.
So, that was mod.
Oh, where were we?
And the most respect of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Was that it?
Look back in history. This was what London looked like in the 50s. Doesn't that look nice? So, shall we
There you
take...
go. I don't know. I don't want to be a divide because I you know, seriously, but they are giving us the worst of the worst. They're not giving us their best citizens. Of course, they're keeping them to themselves, of course. Going underground said, as Julian Assange turns 52 today in prison in London, a reminder of what WikiLeaks under him revealed. Francis Sarkozy pushed for bombing Libya in 2011 to gain a greater share in Libyan oil production. Sarkozy was negotiating to reserve as much as 35% of Libya's oil industry to stop Muammar Gaddafi's gold dinar plan, an indigenous gold-backed African currency to replace the French CFA franc, to improve his political position domestically, to stop the decline of French influence in Africa, to reassert the French military in the world. Just a reminder of what Sarkozy did. He was also caught sleeping with, I don't know, something was going on about who he was sleeping with as well. I don't know exactly what it was about, I can't remember. But anyway, Sophia Dahl said 1 of 4, the French riots are now spilling over into, Switzerland. All of this is far too contrived and organised for it just to be a bunch of angry immigrants. These could be precedent-setting events when the military is introduced and guns are banned. Yeah, but the military is going to come in anyway. But I think for a different reason. I don't know which way this is going to go. Chabureki man said, so glad to see the sick warmongering of a pig get destroyed by his hometown crowd. Booed non-stop till he had to give up trying to do his empty gourd routine. An empty gourd makes the loudest sound. He even tried to beg the crowd to shush, which made it boo even louder. Total utter humiliation for him, Lindsey Graham. He was booed. Riley Gaines said this can only be described as abusing. Little one. Mika Mino, this is where you're going to see where the lactating male is just, it's not right. In the end, I only breastfed my children for a few weeks, then I had to stop because I had cancer relapse and didn't want to poison my child. I think you were doing that already. Here's me on the bus to hospital for the first chemo round, feeding my child for the last time. Oh dear. What has become of the world? Oh dear God, help me. Oh. Cillian said, on major breaking, Marine Le Pen declares she will save France from the New World Order, adding that current President Emmanuel Macron will be arrested. This is huge. Go. Oh, I was hoping she would be voted in last time. But I think they played with it. Again, like they did in the US, like they did in Australia, like they seem to do everywhere, because they can't win on their on merit. It won't work. Baron of Burleigh said this is not about giving Aboriginals a voice. They have thousands of voices, including the NIAA, 1,350 staff, a budget of $4.5 million a year. Their mission statement describes them as the voice. It's about the ALP forming a coalition to govern forever, enshrined in the Constitution. It's about, yeah, they want to just run forever. Holy far out. Said ungrateful peas. Australia not doing well enough to help end the war, Ukraine says. Insane. Brad Jammins said, I'm reading an ABC article about the French riots. The article doesn't mention Muslims once. Not once. Unbelievable. That's not misinformation. That's called missing information. Absolute tosses. The ABC should face a Royal Commission hearing. They should. We want to know the truth. So what is the truth? I'm going to assume the riots are going unless, I don't know. Hey, how would you find out? The only way is the way that person said, but can we believe just a person on the internet? That is the problem. GLoff said, this is a video worth watching, masterclass of those who will listen. The rest of the story, United Nations Council, Max Blumenthal deconstructs US government corruption lies regarding the US. Oh, I can't play that, but I have retweeted it, okay? The opinionated black woman, Auntie, said Richard Gere is a bona fide people smuggler, literal people smuggler. Here he is boasting about smuggling people and is to be arrested.
Everyone is doing okay now. They were on 2 boats in the middle of the ocean. One of the boats was turned back and taken by the Libyan Navy. We don't know what happened to them. The 2 boats that were rescued here, probably all hands on board would have been lost. So the people that you see here on this boat, they're only here because of the donations to Open Arms, to the work that Open Arms does. And now the most important thing for these people here is to be able to get to a free port, be able to get off the boats, get on land and start a new life, be taken care of and make a life for themselves. So please support us here at Open Arms. Everyone is doing...
I'm just wondering, Are they all going to be like trained in army ways at all? I don't know. It just seems to be that, I don't know. This open arms thing, I should investigate that. Open arms. Open arms and empty heads. Anyway, Simon Atiba said breaking the fake account of the supposedly white female Democrat and former field organiser to elect Joe Biden to the White House, Erica Marsh, has been suspended by Twitter. It was a fake... apparently this was AI. She recently tweeted, today's Supreme Court decision is a direct attack on black people. No black person will be able to succeed in a merit-based system, which is exactly why affirmative action-based programs were needed. Today's decision was a travesty. Apparently she was fake. Fake account with over 130,000 followers. So there you go. I know I reported on something about that lady the other day. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, Daisy May said the bank that is no longer holding cash, Aussies, immediately close her account after teller refuses to let her withdraw money. Miss Compton's asked in a post, how the hell can you go to a bank and be told you cannot access your own money? The ANZ are not holding cash anymore, and they're certainly not giving it out. That's one of our big banks in Australia. Can no longer ANZ Bank no longer keeping cash at some branches. So everybody, if you're with ANZ, out of there. I've got to try and find a new bank for myself anyway. I'm not with them, but I'm still going to try and find myself a new bank. Laura Loomer said, scoop, I'm told by a source in Florida's Office of Insurance Regulation that the following insurance carriers that do business in Florida are allegedly in very bad financial shape and are possibly on the brink of collapsing before the end of the year. This has been covered up and prevented from coming to light by the OIR via Florida CFO Jimmy Patronis, so that Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign isn't further harmed by the ongoing insurance crisis in Florida. Employees in the OIR have been told you better keep quiet or else you'll face the wrath of DeSantis. These are the companies that are allegedly on the brink of collapsing. Monarch, American Coastal, Slide, Frontline, Citizens Insurance, the state insurer of last resort, is insolvent, and several other carriers went insolvent in the last year. Floridians are about to see a market collapse like they've never seen before. Millions of Floridians could possibly lose their insurance coverage this year, and possibly even their homes. How? And I suppose if a, what do you call it, down in Florida? Hurricane? Is that what they're called in Florida? If a hurricane comes through and destroys your house, there will be no insurance to pay for it. Stay safe, Floridians. Liz said the World Economic Forum is banning sunlight. Oh yeah, the White House wants to go through with Bill Gates' plan to spray the skies and ban sunlight. Someone tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist and there is no chemtrailing. I've been catching that one for years. The World Economic Forum is banning sunlight, carbon dioxide and nitrogen, which leaves water and oxygen. They've already captured the water supply. Don't know how. To be more clear, these evil MFers want you dead, and they'll admit it. They admit it. Chris Baxter said the great intimidation. In this thread, I uncovered the inequity, the intimidation, and immense dangers of the Communications Legislation Amendment Combating Misinformation and Disinformation Bill that's being brought in by the Australian government. This Australian government initiative would impose a regime of monitoring... Where am I? Monitoring, categorisation and reporting on the public speech of Australian citizens. Unfortunately, however, the government has failed to imagine the consequences of what it wishes to enact. Warning, this tweet may cause serious harm to governments seeking to intimidate their citizens. That is a joke. ACMA, excluded content. Part 1, a bill of inequitable and politically partisan assumptions. This bill divides citizens into two classes. Those whom the government deemed trustworthy to participate in public forums without being monitored and reported on, and to those whom the government deems cannot be trusted. The former group I will call the viewpoint elites because they are those who are not required to have content they produce, known as excluded content, monitored. Their content is excluded from consideration under this bill by S7 in brackets 1 in brackets B. The latter group consisting of ordinary citizens I will call the deplorables, because the government is proposing that they are treated as not having any viewpoint worthy of consideration. The viewpoint elites include, according to the definition of excluded content in the bill, government authorised journalists, professional news content, government authorised educators, government accredited education institutions, and the government bodies themselves. It doesn't take much imagination to realise the government approved journalists are effectively being bribed for favourable news coverage and or being incentivised for continuing supportive perspectives such as support for this bill. As this misspeak legislation comes into full swing and misinformation and disinformation reports proliferate about their non-approved competitor journalists, such government authorised journalists and their respective publications will stand to benefit financially in the long term. This is because misinformation and disinformation reports stand to have a significant negative effect on the reputation of non-approved competitor publications. Educators and government bodies are primarily on the government payroll, mostly viewpoint partisan left-wing in their operations, and commonly accepted to be employers of people who are left-leaning politically. In other words, the viewpoint elites are either being bribed or being offered non-interference and stand to gain financially in the case of government-approved journalists, or existing government beneficiaries in the case of those on government payroll, and two are almost entirely politically aligned on the side of the government. Therefore, the data collected and reports made under S 1819 of the bill will be primarily directed towards those whom the government does not stand to benefit from. Example, by receiving favourable news coverage. Those who are not existing beneficiaries or those who are not on the same side of politics as the government. Accordingly, this bill introduces a substantial moral, financial and political division of citizens into two classes. This is highly inequitable. Has the government found the perspectives of the viewpoint elites are more trustworthy or more true than those of the deplorables? If so, we would like to see the evidence for this. Key points are government is primarily rewarding its journalist supporters with non-interference and a commitment to interfere with others, some of whom are their non-government approved competitors. B. Existing public servant beneficiaries of government are suggesting legislation that is for the benefit of themselves because it supports their left-leaning political allies. C. Government has introduced a bill that seeks to divide citizens into two classes, and then there's the Aboriginals and the white Australians, so there's four classes, with one class receiving greater financial and political benefits from the legislation than the other class. So in other words, they're paying their mates off for all of this. Oh, was that only one? Part 2, intimidation at every level. Intimidation strategies are well known, typically have not been used by Western governments against their own citizens until now. However, this changed in 2020 during the COVID period. State and federal governments practiced various intimidation tactics against those who wanted to maintain their freedom of movement, freedom of political communication, freedom to work and freedom of bodily autonomy. Large protests ensued and a significant portion of the Australian population is still highly resentful of how they were intimidated into taking risks to their personal health with what were essentially experimental medicines, and now their freedoms were impinged upon. How their freedoms were impinged upon. One form of intimidation is disempowerment. Disempowerment occurs when rules are made which presuppose fault by an individual, a group, or an entire class of citizen, as is the case with the deplorables. The individual and group level psychological effects of disempowerment are well known. But how does this bill presuppose fault of the deplorables? It achieves this by making numerous unsubstantial presuppositions. Two of the most concerning are that the deplorable class of citizen is incapable of engaging in a public sense-making process without a likelihood of causing serious harm in a range of ways. The likelihood of this being so significant they need to have their viewpoint monitored and reported on, And 2, that the viewpoints of the deplorables are more likely to cause serious harm to people than the viewpoints of the viewpoint elites. A second form of intimidation comes in the form of threat to interfere. The threat is levelled to 2 parties, digital platform providers and the deplorables, who are ordinary users of digital platforms or services. Threats are made at multiple levels to each of these 2 parties. The threats made to the digital platform providers include a threat to make highly negative or reputationally damaging records about their platforms or services under S18 in brackets 3. 2, a threat to make an imposition on the business to identify, find, gather and format the required information on the government's behalf under S14, and to inconvenience the party by having the records made in the format the government requires, not the format that is most convenient for the party, S14.4 and 7. A further imposition can be made under S14.5, requiring additional investigative reporting, and 3, a threat of a civil penalty under a designated infringement notice, provision for a failure to abide by the rules on very harsh day-by-day compounding basis under 15.3. Therefore, the threats to the digital platform providers are in relation to reputational damage, financial penalties and business inefficiencies that could easily cause significant financial loss or insolvency. The threat to interfere is also being levelled at the deplorables. Specifically, the threat is to haul them before ACMA under S19. It is highly likely this action would cause a citizen a high level of stress, perhaps distress, interrupt their lives and waste their time. These people, who ACMA deems might possibly have relevant information or relevant document, will most likely be deplorables as described above, because these are primarily the people who use the relevant digital platforms. Furthermore, many of the deplorables use these digital platforms on an anonymous basis, and this legislation threatens that privacy. In ordinary circumstances, often there will be some relationship between the person being required to appear before ACMA and the author of the so-called mis- or disinformation. In these cases, people will be asked to dob in or snitch on their friends, family or political co-adjutants. This style of government is reminiscent of the Soviet Union and entirely un-Australian in character, where mateship is commonly held value. Many people will fail to comply because their personal values or faith, which by definition overrides obedience to governmental laws in the case of a conflict, require them not to do so. They will be fined, something that is entirely unjust. Key points. This bill intimidates the deplorables by disempowering them. E. This bill intimidates the digital platform providers by threatening them with reputational financial loss or insolvency. F. This bill intimidates the ordinary citizen, and in particular the deplorables, by threatening them with potentially time-consuming and stressful investigatory process, loss of identity, privacy, and potentially damage to their personal relationships. Oh dear God, there's more. Oh, there's more. Oh no, there's more. Okay, part 3, legislation too costly to administer equitably. There are thousands of digital platforms Australians use, and tens of thousands, if not more, of chat groups. Chat groups such as on WhatsApp, Signal, are highly likely to be deemed as digital services because they have interactive features under S5 and can hardly be described as private messaging where there are more than a few people in the group. Despite the fact that much of the reporting will be required to be carried out by the digital platforms, how does the government expect ACMA to monitor and review these reports without spending millions of hard-earned taxpayer dollars doing so? Does the government really have this money to burn on solving a problem that can be solved by simply allowing Australians to talk freely on digital platforms without intimidation? Okay, key point. G. Someone's getting wood delivered. This bill cannot be administered without significant federal funding. It is unclear whether government has considered the scope of what it is actually proposing, let alone the budget required to administer it. Part 4, the beginning of the end of religious freedom. Religion often forms the bedrock of an adherent's worldview. For example, I'm a Christian, I believe the Bible is true. The Bible sets out teaching and wisdom on a wide variety of matters that are relevant to life. For illustrative purposes, the Bible teaches that one, life begins in the womb, and that 2, various actions are sinful, such as committing adultery, the practice of homosexuality, and dishonouring your parents. These beliefs are aspects of my faith. They are religious beliefs. However, the author has little doubt such beliefs would be regarded as misinformation or disinformation by ACMA. There are dozens of other teachings in the Bible that ACMA would likely regard as misinformation or disinformation, including in relation to the roles of men and women in family and church life. Assuming the government does not intend to report on the religious lives of its citizens, or am I being too optimistic, then why are religious services not excluded under S6, and why is religious content not included in the definition of excluded content? Because they're planning on banning the Bible, probably. Key point, without amendment, this bill will result in situations where citizens' religious lives will be monitored and reported, and citizens will be required to report on matters of their personal faith. This is highly discriminatory. There must be an exclusion for religious services under S6, and religious content must be incorporated in the definition of excluded content. I will keep my comment here brief because I expect you will receive a proliferation of responses on the very obvious point that harm and serious harm are severely and adequately defined. In respect of the definition of harm, point B in relation to disruption of public order or society could be used to mean absolutely anything. And where definitions are loose like this, it's an absolute certainty the legislation will be used as partisan political bludgeon by whatever political party is in power. Almost comically, serious harm is not defined in the bill at all. Key points. Definitions within this bill will have been left dangerously broad, so much so there is a high likelihood they'll be used as political bludgeons. Political speech will become ever so quiet. My tweet posted on 1st of July 2023 below explains this point succinctly. The irony of dissuading people from controversial public speech by heavy-handed regimes of monitoring and reporting is that society will never know what harm has been caused by doing so. For example, what medical remedies were never aired? What injustices remain hidden? What resentment was never diffused before it was eventually resulted in violence? Key point, this legislation will have a chilling effect on free speech. Oh God, there's more. What is unnecessary can become dangerous. Free speech is the most inexpensive, time-tested and equitable solution for solving misinformation and disinformation. It has worked for centuries in the Western world. Digital platforms that led to a proliferation of viewpoints, but I would like to urge the government to have a little faith in its constituents. It's an old adage that sunlight is the best disinfectant, and whilst this is true, the reciprocal is also true. Darkness infects. Well, that's where the government want to stay, in the darkness. They don't want the light shone on it. When governments act like tyrannical, controlling parents, all they achieve is resentful and increasingly disobedient children. The brightest talent will find less dystopian countries to move to, and those who remain will only become increasingly embittered. Freedom is at the heart of Western democracies. It allows the dialectic that self-regulates society. The authoritarian act of breathing down citizens' necks will only drive controversial conversations underground and offline. There they can fester and become dangerous, and you won't know it. Key points. Free speech will be more effective in eradicating misinformation and disinformation over time than what's being proposed in this bill. Furthermore, this bill will simply drive that extremely small percentage of dangerous conversations underground. This will put society at greater risk. There you go. It's done. That's the Australian, what do you call it? Misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it. Our one. Ministry of Truth. There you go. 2, 1. Okay, we're back at the beginning. Dr. Russell McGregor said yes. That's why we've been so maligned. Deep State knows what's coming and patriots are in full control. Shawn Michael said, and I agree with this, following cures like reading the book before all the others, wait for the movie to come out. That's what it was about. That's what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. Following that board was like reading the book before the movie come out, when everyone else is waiting for the movie. Oh, no, not again. Oh, I always do this. Okay, hang on a sec, guys. I'm going to put myself on while I scroll so you don't get sick with me scrolling down to find out where I was at. Because it was a long way down. Oh, dear God. I have a lot here. And I'm going to have to try and do videos the next couple of days to keep up with the news because, yeah, this was all from the week, the whole week. Oh wow, I was really far down. Okay, I'm back to where I was. Okay, this lady again, the one that was an AI. Greg Bolden, host of America. Can't read the rest. This person does not exist. I repeat, does not exist. This is election interfering starting early. I will not even link to their page because it's dangerous to continue to follow and engage. This is an account bot linked to Belgium. It also shows how easy our elections are being influenced. She doesn't exist. Okay, and Geoloft has given me plenty of videos of France. But I looked at this one and thought, why does that look weird? Is that like CGI or something? Keep the camera still. I don't know. Does anyone else find that that might... Hang on, let me make it bigger. Hang on. There's no sound. Does anyone else... Does that look funny to anyone else, or is it just me? I don't know. I'm really questioning things, I'm telling you. Geoloff said, again, this is day 5. Oh, see all the black masks again? Hey, black mask. They're not Muslims. Well, they don't look like them. They could be, I don't know, but they don't. They're white. They look white. More like Antifa or something like that. I don't know. And another one. Helicopters flying around, well, things, I don't know. Oh. Okay, Katie said, I wonder how many people would actually care if the trans issue wasn't forced down our throats. What people want to do with their lives is their own business. When the movement goes after children or erasing the definition of women and inducting fictitious language, inducting? Okay. Birthing person, chest feeding people's day, not giving women safe spaces, intruding on women's sport, then it's game on, I'm a woman, not cis, simply that. We've got this one again. Who's been rejected by just about everyone now, I think. I don't know. Bud Light have just gone belly up, and this person here, beware saying the name on YouTube. Anyway, this person, Dilly Willy. Okay, this person is going a bit after Bud Light for not standing up for them. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to play them or anything. But yeah, I don't think we care that much as long as it wasn't pushed down our throats and in front of children and in women's spaces. Elon Musk said, you awake from a deep trance, step away from the phone to see your family and friends. Interesting. Is he talking to someone? Hang on. Nope, that was it. That's the tweet. Okay. But I've been doing more of that lately. I don't know about you guys. Hopefully you've been getting some time with normal people, you know, like, I mean, not that you're not normal. We're all online here, but you know what I mean. People that you can actually interact with, touch, hello. Not that you go around touching everyone either. Oh my God, I just can't say things right today. Elon Musk parody said, the reason I set a view limit is because we're all Twitter addicts and need to go outside. I'm doing a good deed for the world here. Also, that's another view you just used, because what Elon Musk, I believe, did, or was it Elon Musk parody? No, I'm sure it was Elon Musk. The data was being scraped from Twitter by AI, so he limited people's tweets to a certain amount of tweets every day that you could see, which didn't really affect me because I've been like living in the real world most of the time and trying to, you know, and then going onto Twitter every now and then. But yeah, I kind of agreed with this. We obviously need it because we need the information, and I'm not going to stop doing it, but eventually I'd like to just get out and live in, you know, the country and do the country thing. Chris Minns said today we begin the historic process of transferring Mel, Goat Island back to Aboriginal ownership. Oh dear God. Turning this island into a symbol of reconciliation in the heart of Sydney Harbour. Okay, so they're handing it all off to the UN. That's what they're doing. That's what they're telling us. Because they're not handing it back to the Aboriginals. They're going to hand it to the UN. That's what they are doing. Simon Atiba said breaking after a massive crowd at real Donald Trump rally in South Carolina today. When was this? 3 days ago. The White House just announced 2 minutes ago that President Joe Biden is also travelling there on Thursday. It wrote on Thursday, July the 6th. The President will travel to South Carolina. Additional details to follow. Yeah. Joe, you're not going to get as many people, I'm telling you right now. Oh, there'll be like 5 people there. Elon Musk said to address extreme levels of data scraping and system manipulation, we applied the following temporary limits. That was the real Elon Musk, see. Verified accounts are limited to reading 6,000 posts per day. Unverified accounts, 600 posts a day, and new unverified accounts to 300 a day. It's still a lot. Not if you spend all day on Twitter, maybe, but for me, I'd jump on for like... I'd be lucky to be on there for an hour at a time. A lot of the time I jump on, jump off, jump on, I'm doing things, so I'm just checking it, you know? But sometimes I'm on there for about an hour. Aussie Bologna. Did I get that right? Says, get caught spreading disinformation or misinformation, and ACMA can fine you $500,000. Blood from a stone, blood from a stone. Communications legislation, they have to lock me up. Communications legislation amendment combating misinformation and disinformation bill. The law will remove your freedom of speech, explained here by an Australian human rights lawyer as well, which I will share if anyone wants to have a look. It's 18 minutes long. Okay, Fletch17, replying to Hillary Clinton, said, was this your plan? I'm sure glad you lost. The 16-year plan to destroy America. Barack, 8 years. Goal, weaken US globally. Install rogue operators in government, remove good guys from government, fund terrorism, MS-13 and ISIS, leak classified intel military secrets, special access program sell-off, nuclearise North Korea and Iran, cut military funding, weaken NSA, reveal programs, fund, supply North Korea and Iran, weaken community command of generals, target weaken conservative base, stage Supreme Court, fill NASA space supremacy EMP risk, kill NASA, I thought it said fill NASA, relax borders, flood illegals, and she was supposed to finish it off, right? World War III, real and orchestrated, revised constitution, close US military bases globally, population control pocket billions, ban sale of firearms, repeal amendment, destroy censor opposing news outlets, eliminate final good guys in government, install corrupt Supreme Court justices, open borders, kill economies, starve, enslave the public, remove electoral college, install popular vote, limit, remove military funding. They never thought she would lose. They didn't. They didn't think she would lose.
All right.
Oh.
I want to address what I believe to be a complete failure of this chamber yesterday.
Okay, I'll give you some context first. What is she replying to? Cheaper childcare, $2 billion for new social housing, pay rise for aged care workers, better paid parental leave, a national anti-corruption commission all start today. Well, Jack said something else to look into. What is going on here? I don't know what this is.
All right.
I want to address what I believe to be a complete failure of this chamber yesterday. A motion for the reference to committee, Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander representative organisations, was voted down by 1 vote. All 30 of the noes denied vulnerable Australians who have been crying out to have their voices heard the chance for an inquiry of land councils and other Indigenous bodies. No surprises, though, that they came almost exclusively from the Labor government and the Greens. When last week I hosted a delegation of 22 Aboriginal community leaders, right here in Canberra, no Labor or Green who voted no yesterday came to meet with them, not a single one of them. But one of the no votes, in fact the deciding no vote, did meet with them. I refer to the so-called independent senator for Canberra. How's this for logic? The senator from Canberra doesn't want to listen to the voices of Aboriginal Australians in case it interferes with a campaign for a body which they claim is about Aboriginal voices.
The rockstar joins us now. Senator, middle stump, well played.
That was good. Okay. Craig Kelly said, and thank goodness for the beneficial warming that the world has enjoyed, which ended the little ice age. You know, look, the world does warm up after an ice age. It has to. Otherwise the ice won't melt and you'll still be in an ice age. So yes, over time, it slowly warms up and then it cools back down again. So, yeah, global warming, climate crisis, my backside. Catalyst said, fact, deal with it.
We have been cooling down for the last 4,000
years.
So if people say, oh, the planet's warming, well, it's all about when you start the measurements. If we look at the last 38 years, there has been no change in temperature. If we look in the last 150 years, we've had 3 warming periods and 3 cooling periods with a total warmth of about 0.6 degrees Celsius. Now, I wonder why it warms. I mean, 1850, what happened then? Oh, yes, that was the end of the Little Ice Age. Do you think it's going to warm or cool after a Little Ice Age? Of course it's going to warm. So if you start taking measurements from 1850 in the Industrial Revolution, we have been warming. If you take measurements from the medieval warming, we've been cooling. We've cooled about 5 degrees since then. If you take measurements from the Roman warming, we've cooled about 5 degrees. So as soon as someone tells you, oh, it's warming, the reply you give is, since when? We have been cooling down.
Exactly. FT, conservative values and something else. Every recipient is on Epstein's flight log, including Barack Obama. Was this some sort of backdoor sicko island participation award? Remember this? When Obama was giving all these medals to all these like actors and Tom Hanks and her, Meryl Streep, Barbara Streisand, what's his face? Don't even want to remember his name. Oprah. Oh God. Oh no, it gets worse, doesn't it? Oh no, Ellen. Bill Gates, a lot of them. Oh dear God. Okay, Morty said Katie Gallagher misleading Parliament is more serious than Gladys breaching the Ministerial Code of Conduct. Yeah, Katie Gallagher's still in our Parliament. Victor Victop said Zelensky's blackmailing his masters. Zelensky will not go to the NATO summit if the leaders of the countries of the alliance do not show courage. We're talking about the fact that at the meeting on July 11-12, an answer was given to Kiev's application to join NATO, submitted September 30th, and the answer means an invitation to membership in the alliance. Igor Zhukov, deputy head of Zelensky's office. This little weasel of a man, oh my God. Okay, who's been taken off the air? George Papadopoulos. Oh, breaking. Has you been taken off the air? Oh, good stuff, hopefully. I don't know. Someone let me know below in the comments. Matt Wallace said France decided to fund the police and let in millions of migrants. Now there is chaos everywhere and no store is safe. So they're driving through them as well. I don't know. It's up to you guys. Patricia Webb said breaking leak CDC reports confirm over 600,000 American children, young adults have died since the FDA authorised the use of these. Is it numerically impossible? Is it? Fox News says taking shots, WNBA champion bashes America after SCOTUS ruling. Our country is trashed in so many ways. Oh, instead of using our resources to make it better, we continue to oppress. I'm sick of hearing about people's oppression. Seriously. Suzanne said the socialist ACT government has moved into the Calvary Hospital and started to remove all symbols of Christianity. They're taking it all down. That's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. That was the Catholic Church. Oh, okay, I'm a Protestant, right? That was the Catholic Church. Leave it alone, government. Get out of it. Get away from it. Leave it alone. Prue McSween said must read Peace in Australian by historian Geoffrey Blaney, who presents facts, not the vibe. I'll read the Uluru Statement and address illegitimate claims by Albo MP and Linda Burney, institutions and all the Black Armband Brigade. His facts include Aboriginals being counted in the census as early as 1901, not 1971, as claimed by Tanya Plibersek, and others peddling misinformation. See, the government's the biggest purveyors of misinformation and disinformation. Are they going to... How about we censor all the government and corporations? No, then we can't see what they're doing. No, we don't want to censor anyone, actually, because then we can't see what they're doing. And that Indigenous women were able to vote in South Australia as early as 1896. So much for the claim they were people not worth counting, because apparently our government are claiming that they were not even on the census. They were, apparently. Ah, dear. Elon Musk was replying, the internet feels increasingly to Tim Sweeney. The internet feels increasingly broken. News sites are paywalled or account walled. Reddit is nag walled. Google search spams, ads, and SEO to the point of uselessness. Now Twitter is account walled. Web browsing feels horrible now. And Elon Musk responded with several hundred organisations, maybe more, were scraping Twitter data extremely aggressively to the point where it was affecting the real user experience. What should we do to stop that? I'm open to ideas. So they did. He limited tweets. Thwart scraping patterns with InfoSec engineering. Forbid bad forms of scraping in terms of service. Add a volume-based liquidated damages clause. Prominently litigate against large-scale commercial abuse. I don't even know what half of that means, but anyway. Scraping is already disallowed by TNC. The scraping orgs don't give a F and mask their IPs through proxy servers or through orgs that appear legit. For example, a recent massive scraping operation originating from Oracle IP address was just using their service as a laundromat. We absolutely will take legal action against those who stole our data and look forward to seeing them in court, which is optimistically 2 to 3 years from now. The wheels of justice turn slow. They do. But he's open to ideas, so if anyone's got any tech ideas for Elon Musk, you can go and let him know. I've got no idea. I'm tech retarded. Tessie G, oh, like I can work this stuff, but anymore, and you're just confusing me. Tessie G said my niece is in Paris at the moment. She's sitting with a hubby at one of those pretty cafes, posting pictures for us to see on social media. Not a word about what's being reported. What is going on? Old Farmer said if you believe 24 people can give advice to Parliament for 200 different tribes, you have no idea of Aboriginal culture and how different the tribes actually are. Very different. Apparently. I don't know. I haven't lived with them, so I don't know. Wayne Dupre said no matter what activity you're engaged in this evening, take a moment to pause and pray for your community, give thanks for all the good that exists in your area, and ask for God's guidance and protection on all who live and work there. Pray that individuals and families will be strengthened and that the community as a whole will be blessed with peace, joy and prosperity. I think that's a good way to end it. And happy Independence Day, America, for yesterday. Yeah. Happy Independence Day to all my American listeners. Okay. Oh, God, I look terrible today, don't I? Ooh. I'll leave that over there. I don't really want to see myself. How about I just... Yeah, that's better. Just cover it all up, right? Oh, dear. Okay, let's go back to the beginning, can I? Yeah, I can. Hey, Nicey Glover, how you going? Oh, Amy said you've been waiting for me to post something on True Social. I forgot about True Social. I've got to get over there. Luna said, caught a cold off my kids, so I'm not great, but I'm alive. It seems to be going around. All the grandkids have a cold, and I've got a little bit of a runny nose. It's not really a cold. I just keep thinking it's runny nose. I don't know. So anyway, but it's going around. Alex said, I'm still awake, just not got the energy to type loads tonight, but I would never miss a show. Oh, God love you. George is saying hello to everybody. Alex said, hey, Simone, everyone. Okay, Alex is saying hello to everyone. Everyone's saying hello to each other. I am Kai said, much love, guys. Cooking but listening. Oh, God love you. Sherry said, hey, Alex, wouldn't happen to know how I get my name out of the black box, would you? Don't know how it got there. What black box? Is your name in a black box, Sherry? Elena, how you going? Hello, Aussie beautiful girl. Hello, everyone. George said these politicians are supposed to work for us, not against us. See, I know. They're working for the WEF. They're not working for us anymore. Okay, Simone said, Sherry, it only shows black for you by using the @ so you don't miss messages to you. Sherry said, oh, okay, thank you, Simone. I'm not very tech savvy being an old girl. Oh, I know. I'm technically retarded, seriously. In a lot of ways. Okay, I can work some things, but other things I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I don't know. Simone said, Sherry, I only worked it out recently. I was a bit stressed. I was in a black box. Is that when someone @ you, is it? Because mine comes up in a red box. And I'm like, I'm red. Menacing Muskrat said, hello all. Hey, girl, Menacing Muskrat. Simone said, hello, MM. Menacing said, lots happening. Yep. Mrs. Out to lunch. Hello, Heaven, everyone on chat. Hope everyone is doing good. You too. Sherry said, me too, Simone, don't like to stand out. Simone said, 15-minute city is not about climate, about prison control. Yeah, I went to Oxford protest, paid Antifa like kids all dressed in black, and balaclavas made it on the news. I wonder why. Yeah, they always do. And see, France had them too. All the masks, the black hoodies, the black everything. Nursing Muscat said, wow, the library in France burnt down. Crazy times. Shannon said, g'day from the Riverland, South Australia. How you going, Shannon? And Madison's asking how socks is going. Simone said, Sherry, yep, it's weird, but rest assured it only highlights to you and no one else. Okay, Mrs. Out to Lunch said, it's so crazy times. Glad we live in a small town, but things still go on here as well. Probably won't stay up on too long, battery low, plus helping watch my grandkids. Much love to all. You too, Mrs. Out to Lunch. Shannon said, off to fuel my car and then hay some corn and wheat for the chooks. And then hay some corn and wheat for the chooks. You know what I bought my chooks? Freeze-dried crickets and mealworms. Live ones and freeze-dried or dead ones, whatever. They love them. Yeah, so they get a lot of protein, so. Hey, Green Teakley, how you going? Elena said, stop following the fear-mongering alternative media. No, I'm following it, Elena. The board. Hey, Kat, how you going? Elena said, MSM is Masonic and alternative is Zionist. Good luck getting the truth out. Deb said, hello, Hev and Hev family. Very moist here in Adelaide. Oh, it's actually dry. Well, partly cloudy out there today. Kat said, trying to focus. Been watching Jay Dreamers speak of the inevitable plasma apocalypse, lol. Kat said, at least I know what to expect. Kat said, net zero BS. George said, net zero, what a load of BS. Simone said, our fighting age men immigrants being moved out of hotels and onto army bases this week at one base. Army family given a week notice to move off. Is this happening in Australia, Hev? I don't know. Because I don't know any army people. I wish I did, but I don't. Elena said, my AI is working wonderful, no need of adjustment or repair. Dan Markle Sr. said, hi all, God bless. Menacing Muskrat said, reptilians love to mimic. Deb said, hey Dan. George said, traces of coke was found all over the Houses of Parliament. Yep. I'm pretty sure if they went to ours in Victoria, it'd be the same as well. Oh, it's chilly. My neck's cold. Everyone's saying hello. George said, London has fallen. Dan said, Hillary did him in. Luna said, I don't get how some escaping that goes to a new country and demands to have exactly what they were escaping. It just makes no sense. Yeah, why go to a different country then? If you're just going to demand what you have already in the new country, why move? Doesn't make sense, does it? Deb said, oh my God, a man is taking his 5-year-old son to Trek Base Camp on Mount Everest. Oh, really? Dan Markle Sr. said, Rhino Lindsay. Okay, everyone's saying hello. Facts, how you going, Facts? MSM don't like the truth. Yeah, they don't, neither do our government. Menacing Muskrat said, hello, Facts. In fact, everyone's saying hello again. Menacing Muskrat said, remember the pic of Clooney and Obama? Yes, and the little Asian girl? Yes. Can never get that thing out of my head. There's a couple of photos I'll never get out of my head. And pictures that, you know, those little girls dressed in lingerie, pouring water into it, like what looks like a bathhouse thing. Oh, they're only tiny, man. They're tiny. They're little tiny girl. Oh, it pees me off. George said, AI needs to be stopped. Dan Markle Sr. said, in the boat. Yep. Menacing Muskrat said, I believe AI has been misused for a long time and has positive uses. I believe so too, Menacing Muskrat. Most things can be used positive or negative, and at the moment, what we're seeing is all negative. Stu said, the only good bank is a riverbank. Hi, everyone. I agree. Elena said, banks don't have cash, only digits. They don't loan money, only credit, aka digits created on signature. It's been that way for a while. Faith said, for anyone interested, this is an interesting read. What is it? Signthet? Dan Markle Sr. said, yes, Holocene. Kat said, I do not have or want hurricane insurance. I'm an optimist. Menacing Muskrat said, Stu, so true. Roth kids and DS been killing us since... Killing us, we the percent interest. Percent mice. Fact said, I'm a conspiracy seeker. Most of my gut feelings turned out not to be theories. God bless the truth seekers. Yes, I know. We're called spoiler alerts now. That's what I like to call it, spoiler alerts. I'm a big conspiracy theorist. Big, huge, since 2008. But yeah, they're spoiler alerts. I knew most of them were real. There was some I've questioned that have gone, oh, I don't know, but... Menacing Muskrat said, thumbs up, folks, thank you. Yes, please, if you're here, hit the thumbs up if you like it. Stu said, hi, George. Hi, MM. Face said, wow, most of the chat just disappeared for me. Yeah, it goes blank and then says, chat, you can reload or retry. That happens all the time. George said, bring back Guy Fawkes. MJ said, late, but hello, everyone. I thought she'd hold out for tomorrow. I was going to, MJ. But I decided, no, I've got to jump on in case more stuff happens, you know. Hey, Wheezy, rock on, everyone, from What Is Truth. How you going? Selena said, hi, ducked in real quick. How you going, Selena? Everyone's saying hello to Wheezy, and Menacing Muskrat said, November the 5th, just around the corner, George. So, okay, what I wanted to know is it this year that you vote, and then next year he becomes president? Is that what it is? Is the 5th of November this year, is that the actual election? Can someone tell me, please? Is the 5th of November this year the election, and then they get put in government in January of the next year or something? Is that right? Please correct me if I'm wrong, I need to know. George said, yeah, I know, menacing. MJ said, oh boy. Wheezy said, shout out to my most lovely Miss Hev. Oh, God love you, Wheezy. God love you. George said, the world has been overrun by evil. Menacing Muskrat said, darkest before dawn, the light is coming and evil will scatter like cockroaches. MJ said, I love that book. Looks swami. George said, that video looked fake to me. I don't know. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what to believe, because people who know people in France are saying that's not happening, and then we're seeing footage of... But we've been shown footage of other wars before us, and they've passed it off as that one. MJ said, did anyone see the video, the Who video with creepy women talking to littlies? I don't know. MJ said, Dilly Willy. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call it. George said, DM is a joke. Dana said, Hev, can I please ask a favour? Can you move your pretty face to the right side of the screen? Oh, so you can see the Twitter names. Okay, I will do that. Hang on a sec. Does that help if I go over here? Is that better? I'll do it now so I don't forget. Otherwise, I'll forget later on. No worries. Yeah, the majority of the time it's covered. Oh, the names, Twitter handles. Sorry. Thank you. Yes, no worries, Dana. I can do that. MJ said, I'm fine with not normal. Not normal now, not just so good, just saying. Yes, George Jeffrey Marsh, another. He's worse than actual Dylan, I believe. Because he wants to talk to the kids. This is for the kids. The kids. The kids. He really focuses in on the kids. So I think he's a bigger weirdo. I don't know. They're pretty, like, they haven't raised to the top, you know, of who's the biggest one, but... George said evil people. MJ said horns on that forehead. George said, I would love to know where fact checkers get their information from. Oh, governments and mainstream media and corporations, I believe. Menacing Muskrat says, it's a big club and we ain't in it, George. Carlin, yep. Menacing Muskrat said, most of those folks were at awards when Ellen was handing out pizza, remember that? MJ said, the spew is gone. Sunny, bye-bye. Killjoy, bye-bye. Shannon said, the satanic cabal always reward their own with medals, etc. And knighting people. Jimmy Savile. Menacing Muskrat said, I hated that show, The Spew. I never heard of it. George said, anything the government says is good for you is generally bad for you. Yep. MJ said, menacing, hateful, witches brew, hateful. Menacing said, Joy's raspy man's voice. Sherry said, I heard Bill Gates is buying Google. Lord, I hope not. MJ says, Sunny, hateful, racist, sorry, but she was evil. Faith said, have to turn in. Good night, Faith. Shannon said, only 14 likes. Hang on, where was that? She jumped. Only 14 likes, also moist. It says here 40. I got 40. Which is good because I got 40 people watching, so if I got 40 likes and 40 people watching, that's pretty good. Menacing Muskrat said, Faith, take care, God bless ya. Everyone's saying good night, Faith, sweet dreams. MJ said, love that, Hev. Shannon said, hey, Deb, moist here. Deb said, 10:23 in Adelaide, very moist. Shannon said, getting sleepy, bedtime on night shift. Good night, Shannon. MJ said, good night, Shannon. And I said, good night, Shannon. Menacing Muskrat said, there's some great videos coming out on Trudeau here in Canadistan. Here's one. Deb said, sweet dreams. Everyone's saying good night, Shannon. George said, we will be eating them in the future, Hev. No, they're for my chickens. I'll feed the chickens and I'll eat what the chickens give me. How's that? And another video that Menacing Muskrat shared. Deb said, I'm having leftover goulash for lunch. Tastes better next day. I made Irish stew for dinner last night. We're having Irish stew for dinner tonight. Because it's beautiful. And it's because it's so cold, it's lovely having warm soup or stew when you're freezing cold. And it's a thick stew. It's like a meal. It's not even like barely any liquid, you know what I mean? Like it's, there is a bit of liquid in there, but it's not that much. It's not a soup. It's a stew. Debbie's goulash, that pasta tomato sauce with hamburger meat. We call it American chop suey. Oh, Deb said, I'm in my electric throw rug, so identify as a pig in a blanket today. Oh, I'll probably be climbing into my... I've got to get the fireplace going. It's going, but my door's shut, so it's cold in here. Sherry said, Deb, laughing. James, how you going? Talk about Hunter. I've seen some of those pictures. Yep. Menacing Muskrat said we're having a lazy man's cabbage rolls. Yum. Oh, sounds good. Deb said, sounds of freedom is a movie come out on the 4th of July. They don't want this movie out. Take 8 years. Sounds of Freedom is a movie that's coming out on the 4th of July. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Sounds of Freedom sounds good. And you said they don't want this movie out. Oh, okay. Nice. We're having unusual bad storms with 50+ mile/hour winds. Having another night now in Columbia, South Carolina. Oh, stay safe over there, Nicey. I mean, we get 50-kilometre-an-hour winds here, and I think that's bad. 50 miles is a lot more kilometres than 50. So I couldn't even imagine. MJ, so we paid $3.04 to $3.07 for gas right before 4th. Today it was $3.51. Scumbums because people travelling home. Yeah, they normally do that on holidays. They'll shove the price right up there. Oh, James said 2001 for you. Wow. Yeah, I got shown a video in 2006 or 7 about 9/11, and that started to wake me up. I was then onto the internet following Alex Jones, you know. We Are Change. Everybody that I could. People who've now been kicked off. X22 report. Heaps of people. God. Elena said, where is the chat? Try closing the live chat, and then opening it again, maybe? Nicey said, my flowers are being abused by wind and hail. Oh. Sherry said, having storms here too, Nicey. Getting ready for one now. I'm in Indiana. Did you correct me and it was Nicey? James Jemison said 2024. Oh, not this year, it's next year. Oh, God, that's a long way. Oh, no. I'm all right. Believe me. I'm okay. Choked on myself. It's a long way off. Okay. Menacing Muskrat said conspiracy theorist was bought out after JFK assassination. Yep, to stop anyone questioning it. Because you didn't want to be called a conspiracy theorist. I wear it as a badge of honour. Elena said, I don't believe in the BS of 5th of November. MJ said, no, is it an EC? I lived in Hartsville when I was little, love SC. James said, next American election is 2024. Okay. Hardyville, dang, spell check, MJ said. Oh, it jumped again. Okay. Nisa said, I'm voting for our election will be the 5th of November 2024. Normally the new president will take office January 2025. Deb said, Q memes Hunter will become the hunted was for the Hunter Biden. I was wondering, that's what I was thinking. I think it refers to Hunter Biden, but then it's all of them, isn't it? Because they're all involved in it. I think it's bigger than people think. Man, look at all the people who went and visited Ukraine. All the stars and politicians. And James said, Coke in the White House, FB. I probably never knew who it was. Actually, lols, you couldn't make it up. There's cameras everywhere. They know who it was. James said Rolf Harris was another dirty wrong, and yep. Neesim, I love SC2. I'm from Ladysmith, Wisconsin, moved here in 1995. Menacing said, Deb, I believe that it could be on multiple levels. Symbols will be their downfall. Deb said, and they're in the Bible, would be full of pride, means something different now. See Pride Parade. Pride come before the fall. Or pride cometh before the fall. It's getting ready to fall. In every big empire or, you know, when they start cross-dressing and everything's all right, like with children and all that, you know, that they just go do whatever they want, that's the fall. That's when the society will collapse, normally. Deb said, yummy Irish stew. Oh, it's beautiful. MJ said, I might have some for breakfast. MJ said, men sing, I may be crazy, Pickens, SC, Lindsay Bird, big time, conspiracy theory movie with Mel and Julia Roberts, which I've seen that movie. Julie was from Georgia, you know. Trump-Julia crowd was interesting. She was Alice in movie. George said, I love her Irish stew, Hev. James said, Irish stew is lovely, sticks to the ribs. It's really nice. Menacing Muskrat said, pride flag, they even screwed around with God's rainbow. James said, Hollywood to the rescue. I have my doubts, just saying. Oh, not Hollywood to the rescue. Some actors and some, I don't know. I don't have any faith in Hollywood either, James. George said, I have enough of this pride crap. Yeah, I've had enough of it. Ooh, enough too. Oh, Menacing's put the Sound of Freedom trailer in the comments. I'm going to have to go and check that out. MJ said, look at Trump's speech and Pickens' megawatt smile, maybe. She was with Clooney and Pitt, all biggies, grew up in it. Deb said, child trafficking is what the movie Sounds of Freedom is about. Disney tried to buy it, to not have people see it. Now I really want to see it. James said, I'm an engineer. Building 7 was impossible, like totally impossible. I remember hearing, I think it was an interview with Larry Silverstein. I don't know if it's still on the internet now, but he told us there was nothing wrong with it. He said, oh, there was little damage, he said. There was a little damage, so they decided to pull it down. They admitted to pulling Building 7 down himself, Larry Silverstein. Definitely. I remember watching the video. I remember his name because I watched the video. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't remember his name. I can't remember anything else, so I probably wouldn't remember that name unless I'd seen that, so... Menacing said, I agree, that says Circle of Buddies, MJ. Yeah, but I agree with you, James. I agree with you. It's even the Twin Towers. Totally impossible for them to fall like they did. George said Building 7 was still standing in the BBC News before it was taken down. Yeah, and she said that it had fallen. While it was still standing behind her, the reporter on BBC News said that Building 7 has fallen. We could see clearly it was right behind her. James said, total structural failure across an entire floor when they claimed one beam failed because of air fuel fire. Totally and utterly impossible. I agree, James. I totally agree. MJ said, I wouldn't believe, but seeing Jim Carrey, and they said no one clean. Gematria is interesting, her name and stuff, so... James said, great point, George, another impossibility. Amy said, I saw the movie Sound of Freedom last night. A must-see, people. Really, Amy? Oh... I've got to see it. Deb said, how come I still can't see Menacing? I don't know. MJ said, love is like oxygen by Sweet. Pride before fall and that song lyric. Oh, really? Yeah, there's an Australian band called Powderfinger that sung a song, and they sing The Pride Comes Before the Fall. James said, cold Irish stew and a sandwich with Tommy sauce. Oh... double lovely. Oh my God. James said, exactly, have Larry admitted it. He did. You seen that too. Because I watched the video of him talking about it, and he said we decided to pull it. Yep. James said, the more I remember, the worse it gets. I know, isn't it? Like, if I could remember everything, I'd be really good at what I do right now, but because I forget some things, it's just, I don't know. There's too much going in, and some stuff needs to empty out. Pity the bad shit in your life can't empty out instead, so you've got more room for all this, you know, good stuff. Is it good? I don't know. Okay, George said the BBC claimed Building 7 had fallen, but you could clearly see Building 7 still standing. Yeah, exactly. Deb said pride every is demonic possession. In the Bible, the they is the demons. Oh, there you go. James said if Building 7 was real, they'd have to change the fire regulations basically for every built since 1980. Yeah, they'd have to have new fire regulations for sure, if that could do that to a building. James said for every building built since 1980, I meant. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I agree with that. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there for today. I will try and come back tomorrow. Definitely be here on Saturday. And will not be here on Sunday because I'm babysitting my granddaughter. Oh, she's such a cutie. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you have a great day, night, afternoon, evening, whatever, wherever. And I'll see you very soon. Okay, guys, much love. Bye.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright. And for the first time in a long time, I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling. I'll push all my chips and call all in. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and where I'll go in life, still nobody knows. But I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes. And ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. Back a year ago.
Much love, guys. Bye.